Sex. I'm Tasha Ray.
And I'm drunk. So we about to get into some bullshit today.
Ow. Well, today's guest is very special because it's my bestie. Hey, Janet, welcome to the show.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, girl. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ooh, the details, huh? Well, my name is Janet Cruz Padron. I'm 37 years old, and I'm the founder of the financial empowerment platform Latina Money. And as Tasha mentioned, we're besties, so it's nice to be here on the show and get to chit chat with you guys.
Yes, girl. So excited to have you here. So you're familiar with the game, Secrets of the Opposite Sex. So we're going to pull some questions directly from the app and get in your business just a little bit. So first question, do you feel or have you ever felt cultural pressure when it comes to how you date or who you choose to date?
Not personally, but it seems to me that I always end up picking the ones that are like off limits or that have those restrictions, because I either like, the Muslim boys that are, I grew up Catholic, but I'm not practicing, so I'm more spiritual than religious, let's say. So I tend to kind of gravitate towards the ones that, are very much into religion. And then there's that barrier there with the family. So that always ends up kind of causing that tension. And, obviously, since I'm single now, that didn't work out. What else? Yeah, it's either the religion or class, obviously, like, because for me, we're a working class family. So I grew up very much, working since I was 15. And I like, either the real poor boys or like the real, ritzy boys where the family's involved. And then it's hard because, if you're not really from that same socioeconomic, or if you're not rolling around with that crew, then, somebody in the family's going to say something about it. And I think it kind of takes a different kind of person to be able to say, okay, you know what, I'm my own person, even though I'm in this family structure or in this, religious, culture or whatever. But, I haven't really found my match yet. So, yeah.
As someone who has famously been on Team Lawrence, basically what that means is I'm okay with a nigga being broke in the beginning, right? If there is some kind of drive or push, or maybe he just need to make a stop off at the Best Buy, that's totally fine. But don't be ruling people out just because everybody ain't, vice presidents at JP Morgan Chase. It's maybe he got to be at the rental car place right now. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
But you know what my thing is, and I always said, it didn't matter because, I'm the money, right? Like I work, like I can help my partner out, I could do whatever. But the thing that I've experienced, at least, in my dating little history, is that they, some of the boys that are, maybe not high earners, they tend to kind of come also with this mentality of, okay, I'm going to push boundaries. And if I ask her for something and she gives it to me, then maybe I can ask for a little more. Or, maybe I don't have to try as hard because she got me, and I feel like, okay, yeah, I got you. But at some point you do have to show like, okay, I'm not, like, you got some shame, because like, I'm not going to let my girl take care of everything. What I like run into too, even though that's like really going down the rabbit hole, is, they think, okay, I'm just going to show up with some dick and she'll give me some money, so it's like, okay.
And they think dick is enough.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, come to the table with a little more than that, even though that'll probably get you in the door and I'll keep you in the door for a little while. But then what? Then after that, what are we going to do?
Yeah, it's not going to let her.
Yeah.
I have always been a firm believer that dick is high supply and low demand. So you can't really roll up here with that, because I can go yell dick out the window and 20 motherfuckers that I probably don't even want will show up.
Yes. But you know what? Who's got that kind of time to be looking at, like, unzip? Let me look in there. Like,
hello? Worth my time.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's a good one, I'll be like, score, you're staying. Get in the store, stay here for a little while, but then let's work on something else. And then, unfortunately, sometimes they get stuck there. They're like, no, I'm cool where we're at, and nothing ever comes from it.
I think that is the scary part, where they start to take advantage of you and you become their job. Like,
Because they're
Like,
like, let me just sweet talk her, and then I kind of can coast through life, and then
exactly.
as long as she's cool with it, I'm cool with it too.
Right. Some folks out here doing it now. I ain't trying to
It's so
nobody sugar mama child. Mm-mm.
it's so strange because I just don't understand, and I don't know if this is like the toxic masculine kind of part of myself. Is like I'm a man from the South, right? So if you don't do nothing, you go to work or you try to provide. So it's
Yeah.
like the Scorpio in me, even though I have let a man or two splurge. I don't even feel all the way comfortable with people taking care of me like that. So it's like I don't understand where that mentality comes from.
Lazy.
Wait,
Um,
so I have another question. So you mentioned earlier that you're single now and it didn't work. What is the grounds behind that? I feel like there's a base there.
Well, long story short, I was married, didn't work out, and I think it was a compatibility issue. It was very much okay. I'm ready to settle down, and I think the other person was kind of like, well, I want to sow my royal oats or whatever. So it's really, that was a whole experience that really set the stage for, and my dating life after that. And I realized, if one of the biggest things now that I look for is a man or a partner with purpose, because I feel like that I even saw that growing up. I came from a single mom household. My dad, was really non-existent there for a period of time. But even kind of reflecting back on, okay, my relation, obviously kind of going through healing my relationship with men, and kind of getting to the bottom of my issues, I look back and I think, okay, what sort of men do I gravitate towards? And I always end up kind of going towards the ones that I think have potential. And I think it's like that little girl part of me that's like, ooh, a project, right? Like I can do something with this one. And I think this one's gonna, has potential to do all kinds of things, right? But then it's just, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And I think that that's been kind of my biggest downfall is I see people for what they could become instead of like what they really are right this second. In my case, they've kind of pretended like they were going to do something, right? But then at the end of the day, they weren't going to do shit. So it's like, okay, Janet, like what did we learn from all of this? And it's basically like somebody has to kind of already be walking in their purpose, doing something, because if not, they're not going to be happy with their lives, and they're not going to be happy. Like nothing will ever be enough from their partner. And I think that that's like become one of my, deal breakers now. If you're 80% unhappy with your life, then I got to leave you alone, because that means you're going to be unhappy with me. Like you're going to make me jump through hoops because you have these boys that you want me to, try, or like women in general to try to fill for you. And it's just going to be, a waste of like effort basically. So
Okay, my question is, okay, so has divorced kind of changed your idea of marriage? And if it has, kind of, how is that different from how it felt before you were married versus after?
it has actually, because prior to that, I think I believed in monogamy, and I think to some degree I still do. Because once, for me, at least when I fall in love, like I really don't see anybody else. So I know my capacity to be faithful, to be like, this is my boo, and I don't need to stray. Let's get real, right? There's a lot of temptation out there. There's a lot of ass all over the place, just like men and women that are very liberal. So sometimes they don't want commitment, so that sense of flings or whatever is easy to find. And it's easy, I understand, like for like let's say my partners in the past to have succumbed to temptation. And I think, okay, if now that's not so much of a deal breaker as it is like the lying portion of it. Like if you're lying to me to cover up all your dirty shit, then we got a problem, because then you don't see me as your partner in crime. Like you don't see me as somebody who's been there, done that, done their dirty shit too, and then now kind of want something else.
yeah.
So I think that that's where like that's my deal breaker, is once you start being dishonest and starting like sneaky deceptive behavior, we're done with that. I believe now, like in multiple parties, like that's not a deal breaker. Like not to say, okay, we're gonna do threesomes or orgies or whatever, but if we're in a committed partnership, we understand this is our thing, right? But we also understand we're busy adults. Like, I got, a whole company to run. ideally, like my partner also has a life that, you know, keeps them busy, and we're going to not always, you know, even as human beings too, we tend to have things that, you know, not one person can fulfill. So in that sense, like I understand it, but there has to be like a mutual conversation, like, you know, really understanding that, okay, if you give that person that margin of like error or whatever, like if they go out and something happens,
Mhm.
then our partnership is still solid, and then there's no lying, you know, like, and then most likely for me, at least in my experience, I don't tend to really go fishing for stuff. It's when I know something's up and you didn't tell me, and I still like my gut tells me that there's something to figure out, like that's when I go on my, you know, Inspector Gadget trip, because then there's something to find. And then, of course, there's always something to find, right?
Right. Okay. So post divorce dating,
Yeah.
how is it? Because you've been in a relationship for, an extended period of time. Do you feel like anything has changed in how people date now versus how they dated before you got married?
Ooh. Well, I think I kind of touched on a little bit is that I feel like, you know, people are just more up for whatever, like, you know, they to hang out without commitments, to not really know where, you know, not to really define something from the beginning, which is kind of strange to me. And it makes me feel awkward because it's like, okay, how do you go from a serious relationship and then to then be casual? And then, even though that's probably the healthiest thing to do, right? You don't want to go from one relationship to the other. But it's been tough, you know, because I think everyone just wants to have fun. They want, you know, they think, oh, there's so many options. Like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to pick one and then regret it. So people just end up doing whatever. And I feel like, okay, when I start meeting people that are maybe a little bit older and they're like, oh, this is what I want from the get go, I'm like, wait a minute, like, let's get to know each other. Let's not go so fast.
Yeah.
Everybody pump the brakes, right? And then so I think, okay, what's wrong here? Because I'm over here complaining like people are just lollygagging or whatever. But then when I meet somebody that's like, okay, I want it, you know, A, B, C, D, and whatever in this order, I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. Like, you don't even know me. How do you know? But I think, know yourself, like, you know, you're kind of done with the BS.
Mhm.
You're more likely to kind of put your cards out on the table and be like, okay, this is what it is. Like, you're with it or you're not.
You know, I
Absolutely.
think it's so interesting that you say that because I find that, at least me specifically, as I'm also divorced, I got married really, really young. I was married for most of my 20s. And now that I'm like single and trying to figure this shit out now, I feel like I run across people where it's exactly the same thing where I've run across someone specifically who, I mean, on paper, lined up. Everything is there, knew what they wanted from the get go. And he's like, yo, I'll move you in tomorrow. And I'm like, pump the brakes.
Why? You know, like, why go so fast?
And I'm like, I don't even know you like that. But then the other part of me is like, hell yeah, girl, you don't move that shit in. Like, call a U-Haul. Like, cause this it's give and take out here. It's tough. It's
But
so
here's
hard.
the vibe, though. I think it has a lot to do with the vibe too, because, you know, I think you guys are a good judge of characters. You know, so it's like, okay, once you find that chemistry, that connection, then that's when you kind of want to hit the ground running. Like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes I don't know, like, when you guys don't click, when you're not vibing, it seems to me like sometimes that's when those are the ones that are like want to move you in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's usually the situation where the feelings aren't, reciprocated. One person feels something very
And
strongly, and the other person's just like, I don't know yet. I don't know. Question. Okay. Do you find that now you want to date? Do you want another serious relationship, or do you just want something casual or something like whatever falls in my lap? We'll just see how this works out. Like, how are you approaching dating in that sense now?
I think like I want a life partner with, you know, not necessarily us like getting married or having to do like a big extravagant, you know, announcement of us being together, you know, that cheesy of wanting to do life with someone, you know. And I think that that's where I'm at right now. And it's even just kind of having that's what I kind of mentioned earlier too about the partner in crime, you know, it's like somebody that's, you know, it's just somebody to be real. And I think that that's hard to find really, because everyone kind of has either a rule controlled agenda or no agenda at all. And I feel like it's rare to kind of find that person that's kind of vibing on your level who's also like a friend. And it's been hard to find that, but in the ones, you know, that I have found, it's I don't know, like I kind of feel like I, sometimes say, okay, well, the best way to get to know somebody and to really build something longevity is to start off as friends. So I've tested that, like, okay, I'm just gonna go out with these, dudes and take it easy and just get to know them without my own agenda, right? Of like, let's get married next week and have kids, right? So, but then that I kind of feel like that shoot myself in the foot with that, because I think like keeping it so casual or trying to keep it so casual from the beginning sets like that tone for, like things are going to be like this. And then what if you change your mind, which you most likely probably will if you end up liking that person, right? But then at the end they're like, well, I thought it was this, but now you want, now you're switching it up on me, and it's like it turns out to be a big old mess. So yeah, it's kind of hard to keep it casual, I think.
Agreed.
As a person who was a fan of make sure they're your best friend first. Well, I fucked one of my friends and we ain't friends no more. So what do I do now?
There goes that friend.
I'm like, so now I like ruined it because y'all told me we need to be friends first.
Right.
I don't have nobody to go to the theme park with.
Aww. New friends, not old friends.
They should have specified that in the meme. Okay, if y'all gonna be sharing the wisdom.
Instruction manual didn't tell me this. Yes, that is the hard thing, because you're gonna want to switch up the titles at some point, and it's hard. Like once you jump in the bed, it's hard to just go back to like we're just gonna kick it. Then vice versa. Like if you jump in the bed and you're like, I fucking love you, let's do this, and they're like, I just want to be friends. You're like, no, fuck that. I can't. I love you. Can't be your friend.
Right? Like what? Ooh.
Because we can kick it, but I'm also now I might kick your ass if you play with me because you decided that this is what you want to do.
Yeah, that's right.
That is the worst feeling though. In those situations, in those relationships, you have to be vulnerable because that's your friend. They know you, right? And you're crossing that line, pour out your heart. And they're like, yeah, no, I just want to be a friend. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm actually still recovering from that. That happened to me last year. I was like, keeping my mouth closed from now on.
But see, that's the thing. It's like, we gotta tap into that resilience too, because it's like, yeah, it's hard for us to be vulnerable, and it's hard to say, how we really feel and put ourselves out there. But what did you really lose after that? Nothing. Like if they were a douchebag and they were like just left you hanging, or they bounced on you or whatever, and it didn't work out, then what did you lose? Like, I mean, pride and ego. And to me, that's the downfall of like, this is the reason why nobody can have good relationships, is because we all want to put up this front, like things don't phase us, or like things don't hurt us. But it's like, you hurt my goddamn feelings, like say sorry. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna let you feel my whole life story, and if you didn't reciprocate or you just ghost me or whatever, then you're bad because you're an asshole. Our egos get bruised, but at the end of the day, like the cheesy line, right? Like they did you a favor because they basically, like, the trash took itself out, right?
Listen, a crybaby ass nigga like me, I eat pride for lunch.
So that's good. And so many people are just so about the ego, and that's been like one of my deal breakers too. It's kind of like, okay, if you like faking the funk, that's tells me a lot about you, because clearly you got some issues you haven't worked through. You got some deep-rooted healing, like some pain that you're still kind of carrying around with you. I worked through my shit, so therefore you need to work through your shit too. And on top of that, it's like it just ends up, I mean, what it is that it hides insecurity.
Okay, so if you're out here dating now, what's the most common reason that you've become uninterested in someone?
The detective work. Because like I've got like A1 gut feeling. So it's if I ask you a question, it's because I want an answer. And think about that answer before it comes out of your mouth, because if my gut radar alarm goes off, then we have a problem, because I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And the thing is, I'm anybody that knows me knows like I'm a super sweetheart. So it takes a lot for me to really cut you off, or for me to be a bitch, or for me to like even get on my high horse or anything. But, again, like if I ask you a question and it takes you extra long to come up with an answer, or your answer doesn't make sense, then it's like, okay. Or if I've had to find out that the answer wasn't the truth,
Uh-huh.
then then that's it. There's no foundation there. And clearly, like, you thought that I was a fool. So that's another problem.
For sure. So, okay. So does the number of people your mate has slept with before you matter? Like when you're dating these people, like, are you concerned with where that thing has been before that thing has come to you?
After I got married and stuff, and after like even dating, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go celibate. So that for me, and I still to this day, I'm not dating. I mean, I'm dating in the sense like I'll go spend time with them, but it's like a whole nother, like, we're gonna take it back home and stuff. So that's something, like, I've been celibate for a hot minute, and it's getting a little hot up in here, but overall it's possible, right? And for me, it's worth it, because it's like, okay, that's an investment that I'm willing to put into, not only get to know myself, but to also like clear my whole bad vibe of like everybody that's been around, and it hasn't worked out. So I feel like, okay, I don't hold my potential partner to that, let's say, to those standards, those expectations. So I'm actually very open-minded. If I feel like, okay, they've been around and we have a thing, and we kind of get to that point and we choose each other, that, I mean, I wouldn't judge them based on like where they've been. But if you kind of throw me into now you're one of the options and I'm gonna continue to run the streets, then that's when I have a problem, because then, obviously people just be dating and fucking like HIV ain't a thing. And it is, and that's something like that's real serious. And I have a lot, everybody has a lot to lose. And I think people just, there's a certain amount of like, if you're fucking so many different people, there's a part of you that kind of shuts down, like your soul ends up shutting down, right? So you're like, okay, just next, next, next. And I think, okay, at some point, your consideration for somebody else's life, for your own life, like you forfeited that because you want to have fun, or because you're lost or whatever, or like you can't find what you're looking for. So I think that becomes dangerous territory. Like, I don't want, if you're gonna be fucking around with your life, don't come over here, because I got,
Right.
I got shit to live for. Like, don't bring that over here.
Keep that over there for sure.
Because I'm also, in the year of what's today? In the year of our Lord of 2022, the monkeys is out here poxing, and I had to hang my whole coat up because because clearly you get it by fucking or something close to it. And the answer is no.
Yes. And people act like we haven't been on lockdown for like 2+ years on the Rona. And it's like, people are like, don't cough on me, much less like, don't be putting your things all up on me. So yeah, it's real serious out here now with health and hygiene and all kinds of stuff. And it's, the last thing any of us want is to be able, to say, okay, I made a life decision that completely like flipped my whole life around, and maybe it wasn't even worth it.
Yeah. So it's a no for Nick Cannon, basically. Like those types. It's a hard no.
The times are different now. They've changed.
Oh my gosh. Like,
I mean, I think Nick Cannon is on baby like what, 78 or some shit.
like,
that though. He's gonna go broke. What the hell?
Right? I feel like you real rich. Like, we get it. We love that. Like, you real rich. But I'm so glad we got somebody with Latina money letting the people know that ain't sustainable.
But I guess it's maybe a long-term investment, because hopefully those kids will end up supporting him when he's old and gray and can't do nothing else on TV. But for now, it's I'm sure it's costing him a lot of money, and baby mama drama too.
Oof.
I'll keep it.
Listen, then kind of aired out their business, talking about he thinks 80% of women have an odor down there. And I'm just like, what you think? Like, you are raw dogging all these women back and forth, back and forth. You mixing up juices that don't need to be mixed. Like, now they got to live all the time.
Right. So because
that much time to be at the OBGYN like every week.
You decided that you was gonna be Bill Nye the Science Dick, and you was gonna mix and match.
Mix and match potions and chemicals.
Don't like.
But that's what happened when you be out here listening to Dr. Umar Johnson. All right. So my next question.
If you're enjoying the episode, make sure you download Secrets of the Opposite Sex on Apple App Store and Google Play today and join in on the fun. Back to the episode.
Okay. What is the pettiest thing that you've done to an ex after a breakup?
Pettiest. You gotta put me on the spot like that. Who doesn't know that it was me? How am I gonna say it?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Right. As a man who frequents all things petty, I just like to know.
Nah, like honestly, I'm real like I'm just gonna cut you with my words, petty. Like that, there's no going back from what if one like again, like Lord help me, because yeah, once I get to that point where I gotta have a reckless mouth, like we've clearly gone too far. Because I'm the nicest, sweetest, where I'm like, please don't do this, like don't make me go there, like please, baby, don't do, like don't do this, because I'm like you don't want to see that side of me, right? But when I turn real cold-hearted bitch and say some like tell you some real shit, then like clearly there's no respect there, right? Like there's no going back from that. So just me, like I mean, once I knew the relationship was over, I was like, okay, let me let you have it, right? Like you're a bitch ass, like and just attack like their masculinity, and that's it. Like you're dead. I left you for dead and I'm gone, right? And I think that's petty, because it's like, fuck, did you have to destroy him, Janet? Like you couldn't have just like pushed him down and like got the hell on.
Like Mortal Kombat, finish him.
Yeah. Trying to destroy him. But yeah, sometimes some people need that, because it's like I fucking warned you like 17 times, like don't do this, because then this is gonna be all bad. But you wanted to do it anyway, so all right, let's go.
Tasha, I'm gonna throw you the same question.
Tell us, the fatty.
So I'm similar in that way, because my mouth is like I can cut you with words. We're very similar in that way. Like I'm very cool, very sweet, very all that. Like, but if you push me, I'm talking about push me, I'm gonna hurt your feelings.
Vocabulary is like
I'm gonna hurt your feelings, and then I'm not gonna feel bad about it afterwards, unfortunately. But for me, I still am petty with my actions sometimes too. Not now. So my story is from almost 10 years ago. I've grown, I've evolved. But let's see. My pettiest thing is he was on his last leg. I'm giving you the opportunity to be honest.
Yeah.
You still want to play, so let's play. So he went to sleep. I had the password to his phone. He told me he was not in communication with his ex anymore. And lo and behold, they writing whole novels and shit to each other like it's the whole thing, and have been spending time with each other. So I was like, okay. So this was back like when the little thumbprint had just like made its little debut. Yeah. So I made me a little thumbprint in his phone, because I'm going to tell him in the morning. I went through
that resourceful, not petty.
I went through it. I told him when he woke up, I was like, I went through your phone. I see y'all are still talking. What you doing over here then? Like, what are we doing? If you still want to do that, go do that. So he did the whole thing like, no, like delete it. It's fine. Like, I'm not going to talk to all of that. And I was like, last chance. I'm going to give you a week. So he goes by. I guess he thinks
of you a week.
I gave him a week. He came back over. He went to go like make me some food or something. And I got his phone and I went to the bathroom. And of course he changed his PIN code. I was like, handy dandy thumbprint. And then I looked and I saw they still talking. And I blocked the girl. That's what I did. Because I was just like, I want to know like who's initiating this conversation and how this is going. So I understand what's going on too, because I feel like she was a little toxic too. Like she was
like, I need to
like,
know.
oh, you got somebody new? Like, I want you back now. It kind of felt like that. So I wanted to see who was initiating conversation and doing all this stuff. So I blocked her when I went into his phone the first time. Okay, so if you realize that she's blocked, then okay, there's something you're looking for her. She ended up emailing him.
Another resourceful bitch.
She ended up emailing him, and then that's how they started talking again. But I was just like, okay, exactly. Y'all just need to go somewhere at this point. Get up out my house. So yeah,
dude.
Yeah, that's my petty level.
Practical, I call it.
Again, as a man who just happens to fancy all things petty, I'm going to unfurl my scroll on where I start.
Yes, because like I know you got some stuff. Read.
One, I'm taking all the backs out of your earrings. I'm taking them off. Like you ain't got no backs to your earrings.
You need those.
2, when you went to bed, I took all the light bulbs out your house. You have nothing. So you can hit the switch all you want. Ain't no lights. There's not.
It ain't gonna work.
3, you love ice water. Your ice maker in my trunk.
No, pee in his ice dispenser, ice maker or whatever.
New level unlocked.
Allegedly, though, I've never done
Allegedly.
that. I think it would be a good idea.
I don't know. My lord told me that usually means jail time. So, I
That's okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Noted.
I'm trying to stay out of jail. Thank you. There goes that idea.
Oh, that's funny. So, what do you think your ex would say is the hardest part about dating you? If he was going to air you out to your new boo, what would he say?
He's gonna be like, "Good luck with that one, bro." Probably just that I'm real controlling sometimes, like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like today on Monday, we're gonna go here. So that's like my real type A like side of which I'm working on. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going with the flow, which you know me, I'm very kind of chill and stuff, but for when things need to happen, they need to happen, and they need to happen now. So that like fortunately or unfortunately kind of translates into my relationships too. It's kind of like, okay, we need to go here, and then maybe in like 6 months from now we should think about heading in this direction. And so in that sense, me kind of stepping into my femininity is where I'm working on that, because I exist in my masculine energy sometimes because of work, because of things that I have to do at home, gotta run this, gotta run that, and then telling myself, okay, Janet, like you are gonna go out on a date, so you need to be a lady, you need to be nice, like you need to kind of let people just let him be him. So in that, I think, especially when we start getting serious and we're kind of making life plans, and obviously, we're living together, our finances are kind of crossing. It's like, okay, I think this is what's best. And clearly my way works better than yours. So get on board or not. But if you don't, then we're going to have a problem. So I think that's probably what my ex would say. Like, okay, you just got to let her have her way most of the time, right? Because if not, you're probably going to hear her mouth. So, yep.
My ex will probably be like, sex is great, but you just might want to run for the hills. In which case, I might agree.
The last person I dated was kind of like, what your thing is? I'm like, what? They're like, it's either your way or the highway. I'm like, yeah, everyone seems to be with the program except you. And he's kind of like, well, I've been with the program. So, I'm like, okay, I'm glad that you're with the program, right? Clearly it wasn't.
All right. So now we get to move on to my personal favorite portion of the game, the red flag game. So now we're going to ask you a series of questions real quick, real easy. And if you care to elaborate behind your answer, feel free. The red flag game. I'll ask you a question on whether or not you feel something is a red flag, and we go from there. You ready? All right. So is it a red flag if you get invited out by a guy in a group setting and there just so happens to be another person there that he's talking to? Is that a red flag?
Yes. I feel like there's some unconscious, like, are you bitches gonna fight over me or what? Like, I just want to see it, And no. Mm-mm.
That's actually very interesting, because the petty part of me said that I was gonna pull up like, who is bitch? I was gonna buy her a drink and everything. Like, who is you? No.
I don't know. That's like real. I'd be, again, shameless, because I'm trying to think, if I would do that, I'm like, would I take my dude to some, like, especially if I was fucking some other dude like there too, like, hey guys, like, meet each other, like, I'm gonna see you right now, but then I'm gonna see you a little later, like, the fuck, no.
It's so funny, because I feel like that is something that I feel like that's something that guys would only propose to women. Realistically, I don't think that girls are doing stuff like that. So I feel like the audacity for you to just be like, hey, I'm gonna bring you to the Dave and Buster's, and then you're gonna bring a Buster, and then we just gonna like chill and have a good time. Excuse me?
And then that's like, okay, I mean, you're setting yourself up to like be spread thin to like, which bitch are you gonna focus on? Like me or
Oh,
her, you know what I mean? Or you're just gonna be like twinkly, like winking at her while we're over here trying to do it. No, what the hell?
what is the goal? Y'all, this was my Monday night. This literally just happened to me on Monday.
Oh,
I'm not
Wait,
playing with you.
wait,
I
what did
met
you
this guy.
mean?
This was the first time that we're meeting in person, right? We've just been texting or whatever. And he was like, hey, I'm in town. He was like, at first when we're talking, he made it seem like I'm out with my friends because we got to do some work shit or whatever. But when we're done, let's grab a drink because that was always our initial plan. Let's grab a drink at this specific place. And so as I've gotten ready and I'm about to call my Uber, he's like, oh, just heads up, it's guys and girls mix. I'm just like, why is that necessary to say? If they're your friends are your friends, are your friends. So why you need to clarify? But okay. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I get there and there's two girls. One girl is very clearly a friend. The other girl, she starts talking to me and we're just chit-chatting like, hey girl, where you from? How long you been in New York? All that kind of stuff. He turns around and sees us talking and he scoops me by my hip and like to the bar, like, hey, you want a drink? You want a drink? And I was like, what is happening here? So we're talking and he's like a little handsy, like his hand is like on my hip and it's just like, and he's very close and all that kind of stuff. And next thing I know, she disappears. And towards the end of the night, I guess she's about to leave. So she's got her arms around him. And then his hand is like on her butt. And they're this close from each other talking. And I see him kiss her real quick. And then he kind of taps her on the butt a little bit and she leaves. When she leaves, I'm standing in the middle of two of his friends, literally. She shakes everybody's hand and says bye, skips over me, goes to the other friend, and then dips. And I was just like, well, that was interesting. I feel like I was just on the episode of The Bachelor and I didn't sign up for this shit. So what the fuck?
I'm
And
shameless,
then,
man, shameless.
and then he was just confused as to why I felt away.
Like because I just met my competition and nobody warned me about this.
Like, oh my God, like, why do you feel like that's okay?
Why do you think that's okay? Oh my god.
Cringy, cringy.
So I'm gonna start my rebuttal to this. Did he wear the next vodka cranberry? Because at that point you have to wear it. Excuse me.
With a busted lip is a real
Hello?
It's over it.
The audacity.
Yeah.
The audacity.
I'm telling you.
I mean, he's a grown man, like 40. I was like, this is what we're still.
We're a little, we need to be past this.
Like, I feel disrespected. And this even wasn't me.
I'm disrespected by association, okay?
And I'm like, this was our first time supposed to hang out. I feel like I know more about his friends at this point than I do with him because I was talking to his friends the whole time because he was, like you said, spreading himself thin. I was like, this is some disrespectful shit here. Like, just when you think you've seen it all, here we go.
In the name of disrespect, just slide me the handle. We can have all his friends lined up next week.
You better not talk to that man ever again. What the hell? No respect.
None. And then tried to like apologize the next day and make it, I don't know, it's just like, I guess we got our, I guess we had different intentions. And I'm just like, well, what could your intention have been? I'm so confused.
But even then, I mean, you're talking to two girls in the same circle. It's like that's a big red flag. That's like sloppy, messy.
Right. Okay. Is it a red flag if someone wants you to give them oral, but never wants to return the favor?
Yes, it's a red flag. You ain't generous. You ain't not a generous person, and we do not need to be talking.
Yeah, I feel like the grounds of that are pretty simple. You give, you receive, or even if you ain't giving in that manner, like you do what you need to do to please. If you ain't doing that, then
yeah. But that sets the tone for everything, though. I think, like, most people that like see you and see some sort of value, like, okay, I want to look good in the eyes of this person that I just met because I think we might be going like. I'm open to possibilities, right? I like you. I like this vibe or whatever. I want to look good in your eyes. So if I'm asking you for shit, but then I'm already kind of like looking real greedy, looking real selfish, like that means like I don't really see any sort of like longevity here because I'm not trying to put my best foot forward. I think we all do when we just meet somebody, like we're kind of willing to go that extra mile. So if from the get-go, like he's that like whoever, they're not willing to wanting to please you in whatever way, like then that's probably what you're gonna get. Like you're gonna get breadcrumb like a whole lot more than just
Whew. Mm.
I mean, that's for damn sure, because that's showing what you got going on right out the gate.
yeah.
That's just selfish and child. Like you gotta grow up.
That's a big red flag. Like if if you meet somebody and then they're not really trying to do all that investment, all that work, it's kind of like, okay, am I not cute? Like you don't like me? You
Yeah.
don't like that?
Yeah.
It's Mm-mm.
Then the second that I start internalizing whether or not I have something going on based on what you decided, you can go sit in oncoming traffic.
Yes, you got me up in my head. Like you got to go.
Absolutely.
Okay, so is it a red flag if a man wants to wait to have sex until marriage?
I've never met a man who wanted to wait to have sex. If you find one of those, let me know.
I don't think you want them because honestly, I feel like the times that I've met guys who were like that, I think they were like afraid. I said like it was multiple. There's one. I think he was afraid that I think he was small, basically. And I think he felt like if we had sex, I wasn't going to be satisfied and it wasn't going to work.
That's like to me the Loch Ness monster. Like, does that exist? Like the fact that you know one, I don't know. News to me because
At least one. Yeah.
There's one in the world.
Just one.
Personally, I feel like I have to test drive that Honda because I'm just specifically for me, like that's a big bond that I have when I'm with someone. Like that's an emotional connection that I can't recreate. Interestingly enough, I was in a situation where I was with someone who wasn't asexual, and he's just more into the vibe and the essence. And I feel like that was fine for about 8 months. And then
like you got to give it up some point.
rubber got to meet the road. And
no, I agree. Honestly, I think at this point too, it would be a deal breaker if there was no like intimacy, there was no sex in the champagne room going on in our house, so yeah.
For sure. Okay. Is it a red flag if a man is divorced but constantly talks about his ex-wife?
Yes. You ain't over it, homie. Like you got to put some stuff to rest. And, clearly somebody didn't invest in a therapist after that, because if you're going to use me as your therapist, and one thing is we're going through, like we're sort of like recapping our experiences so I can let you know my bad experiences so you don't do that stuff, and then vice versa. But it's another thing to constantly have, old girl or old boy or whatever, like all up in your mouth, because clearly like you got some unresolved issues and, I don't get paid for this. So.
Well, about to stress me out. Ooh, Lord.
Yeah, because I feel like you just save that for like your group chat with your boys. Because I'm like that. Don't bring that to me.
Yeah.
And then part of you makes you feel like inadequate too, because it's like clearly if that other person's still like all up in your brain, then like a part of them must be sizing me up towards, with that person. And it's like, well, if you guys have that much history, if they really did a number on you, if they're still like front and center in your thought process, then I'm not like, nothing that I do is going to be enough, because not only do I not like to be in competition, so you're already kind of putting me in a spot I don't want to be in, but second, like your history with someone, like I can't match that, right? Because I just I'm new, like give me a chance, right? But you're kind of setting me up for failure because you're comparing me to somebody that you already invested all this time with, and I can't, again, like you're just setting me up to fail, and I don't like that.
Yeah, you're being slighted because like they're still in the past.
Yeah.
So they're not fully present in your relationship and showing up how they should be showing up for you because they're still worried about, oh girl.
Yep.
And not only is the comparison thief of joy, comparison is also going to turn me into the thief that's going to steal your PS5, because I don't, why?
For my heartache, I'm gonna take this.
Hello, my pain and suffering.
Pain and suffering. I'm out of here with this.
Hello.
Because I deserve.
I'm gonna take my souvenirs. I fully support you in that.
Do you think it's a red flag if the person that you're dating bad mouths people? I mean, even if it's in a way that they may have been wronged, or if he continuously bad mouths people, is that a red flag?
Yes, I hate a gossiping bitch. And like friends is a different thing, right? But if you and I, and I get it, you got to be the safe place for your partner, right? So it's there, we're gonna have to hear all the tea. Like I'm gonna talk shit on my people too sometimes, like if something's going on. But overall, like if you're constantly, if that's the only thing that we're talking about, if that's the majority of our conversations, that's already a huge red flag, right? Because that means like you ain't got anything going on for you other than looking at what the next person's doing. But for me, that's actually one of my deal breakers that I've learned like through my dating experiences is if you're gossiping, if every time that I call you, you're telling me something that somebody else did, then we got like a real big problem because that means you ain't got anything going on in your life. Like you got to be looking at whatever homeboy or homegirl's doing, like, and what about me, right? Like, let's talk about something else. And yeah, so no, I don't do like gossip unless it's like, I'm going through this, or like my mom did this, or my sister did that, or whatever, and I kind of got a vent. And but other than that, it's like, okay, you should be too busy and too grown to be all up in other people's mess.
Hello. Whew.
Child, I definitely agree with that because if you gossiping more than me, you got to go.
I mean, we all love a good, cup of tea, but at some point it's like, okay, is that all you're about? Clearly, you're too concerned with other people's life to get your own. So,
and you ain't about to go tell my business either after we part ways. No.
That's low key. People refuse to acknowledge that when he get to homegirl pillow, after she done laid it down and his shoulders relax a little bit, he telling your business.
Absolutely. All of it. Like, all of it. Yes, that's such a huge turn off. Like, I feel like I can't even open up and be vulnerable with someone who's always giving the real lowdown, like too many details about their ex. It's just like, I don't think I needed to know that. Like, that was not going to help us in this relationship at all. Like, that was very unnecessary. Like, that just makes me feel like, okay, I can't tell you nothing. Like,
your secrets are not safe there.
Oh my goodness.
Because why am I able to open a credit card in her name? I'm like, why am I
able our business? Okay, girl. So we've come to the part in the show where we turn the tables and we let you ask us a question that we must answer. So, what say you?
I'm gonna put you on the spot because I just had this experience. I'm like, fuck, like dilemma, decisions.
Ooh.
Okay, so if somebody that you really, really, really like, you're dating, like you're seeing each other consistently, and then they say, but you're not official yet, like they haven't locked it down, they haven't asked you like commitment, nothing, but then they ask you to do a threesome. Like, what you gonna say?
A threesome?
What you gonna say?
Try somebody else. Who you better go play with somebody else. What? Why do you feel like you have that access, or you're not even allowed to ask me that? No.
Is this strictly in like the dating phase, or like if someone broke
like we haven't locked it down, we're kind of like exploring our options type of deals?
I mean, this is interesting because I feel, I mean, the freak hoe in me says absolutely, but I don't know, the non-freak hoe says like, okay, if I'm dating someone, then why should I take you serious and you're broaching me with something like this and we ain't even in a relationship? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Like one part of me is with it, but I don't. If we just like dating and I'm not with you for real, and then we have a threesome, I don't know.
It's like what is the end goal of the relationship? I feel like determines the answer to that if you with it, because if I'm thinking about I don't know, like if that's my person, I don't want to share you. Like I don't even want to open Pandora's box to like, I don't know, she might bust it down a little bit better. I don't know. So I don't want to open that door for you to, feel like you can revisit her at different times. Like that's not something that I don't think I would ever engage in anything like that with somebody that I wanted to be with for real. Like that sounds like some stuff that you do when we just out here playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like, all of the threesomes that I've had in the past, and by past I mean June. Uh,
Like yesterday.
right. I'm like, is it Tuesday? None of them have been with people I'm dating for real, right? Those are with parties that are fair game. So we have the relationship that we can do that. But I don't. Ooh, this is interesting. Ooh, wow. I mean, just count me in for the threesome. I'm probably gonna go in for it
Like,
anyway.
fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do it anyway. I know, and I'm not even finna hold y'all for real. So
Hey. But like, so this dude that I was dating, we saw each other regularly, and then he kind of hits me with, I want a threesome. And then, my crybaby self was kind of like, well, am I not enough for you? Right? Like that kind of struck a chord. But then he was like, yeah, you are, but that's what I like, right? And I think, okay, my open-mindedness, Janet, is I'm gonna entertain this conversation, right? And so I thought about it, but I have a real problem. Like, just my soul will not allow me to say yes to this because there's no commitment here, right? Like, who's to say that bitch is gonna pop her pussy better than me and you're gonna be gone? And you're gonna leave me anyway, right? So it's like, okay, I'm not willing to take that risk, first of all, because my ego can't take it. And then second of all, like, I still like him. So what if I want to talk to him again? And then I'm like, he just left me for, like somebody that I saw myself, right? Like, she was in the same room and you just left me. So, I mean, all kinds of parts of me would be hurt about that. Then, third, it's just, again, kind of like with me shifting my whole, I just become more realistic, I guess. Cause, I understand that, maybe our partners like variety or, even myself, like, it's hard to see, like, go out in the street and not look at yummy pieces walk by and be like, ooh, like, I might want that one, like, on Monday, but then maybe on Friday I might like that, I might feel like that one. So I understand that we kind of live in this times where it's like, people are just looking so extra good, it's kind of hard to keep your hands to yourself. And and which makes, again, monogamy and like committed relationships so hard, because it's at what point do you make allowances for your partner? You're like, okay, I want my partner to be fulfilled, I want my partner to be happy, and I want them to come home to me not feeling like they have a major case of FOMO, because they just like, they're missing out on all kinds of, buffet platters and stuff like that. So I think I've become more open-minded in the sense, like, I probably might say yes to, again, like, multiple party like interactions, engagements, or whatever, but there has to be those like ground rules. There has to be like that sense of commitment, like, I'm your main bitch, like, this, like, I'm it, right? And like, but then I'm gonna make allowances, I'm gonna give you that wiggle room to maybe, I don't know, like play with the peasants if you want, but as long as you got to come back to the kingdom, like, so, I don't know. But yeah, he hit me at the wrong one at the wrong time, because I'm like, first of all, did you ask me to be your girlfriend? No. Are we married? No. Like, scratch that, right? Because now you're just gonna treat me like a fucking hoe. Like, we're not doing
so I'm gonna tell you what you do.
that.
Do next time you get broached with that question, you say yes, you get in there, and you Triple H jump off the motherfucking rope. Top rope. I'm talking about DDT Supreme Rey Mysterio shit. Then when you finish, never talk to him again. He gonna be beating your door down.
Like, I love you, let me in.
The crazy part is, like, I never remember this coming up so much earlier. Say, like, in 20s, I like, none of my friends, nobody would ever be like, oh, this dude approached me talking about that. Nobody. But now that we grown, I've been hearing that a lot. Like, a lot of my girlfriends have been like, and like guys that they, we're just fresh, or we're just fresh into a relationship, or we're on that path, that's coming up a lot. And
But also, I think it's part of like boundary pushing, right? Because like, I think at some point it's like a little test. Like, okay, let me throw this and see what the bitch is gonna do. Guys like to test girls too, so to see, like, okay, I'm gonna throw this out there and see what she says. And if she says yeah, then clearly she's cool with me having my cake and eat it too. So that's gonna set that tone for whatever it is that we're trying to build or not build, or what I'm trying to get away with, or whatever. So yeah, you got to be real careful how you're going to answer that after, and what you're going to deal with after that.
You know what it is, Tasha? I've always said that if social media hasn't given us anything, it has given us audacity.
Hello.
That's where that comes from.
I mean, it's essentially like what? Like the buffet, right? Like the menu, because you're kind of like, okay, this is what's possible out in the world. And even if I don't live in New York, even if I don't live in California, like I can I can connect with that person, or I can connect with, all these people, and then we can somehow make something happen, right? So it's like, I think that's what's contributed to like what you were saying, like how we kind of didn't, this wasn't like our old school dating, like we
Right.
didn't have to kind of deal with all that stuff, but in reality it was probably going on behind our backs. And that's why I kind of, what I was telling you, like I've all my experiences, especially like, my marriage and stuff, like that's definitely opened my eyes to realize like, okay, shit is going to happen whether you approve of it or not, or whether you know of it or not. So it's like you kind of have to sit there and ask yourself, like, what am I cool with accepting? And just also getting real with like allowing somebody to be real within their own self. Like, because if you're kind of already judging them, like, no, I'm not going to do a threesome, even though you might like that, or you might like variety or whatever, I'm already shutting you down. Then you're forcing that person to kind of have to do it like the black market style, like I'm gonna get what I like regardless of whether my partner approves of it or not. And that's when things go all bad too, because again, like the lying, the deception, like the messy situations, like so you might as well be open-minded somewhere down the line.
Ooh, okay.
So Tasha, get with it, get with the threesome.
I don't know. I don't, don't.
I know. I know.
Like, oof, like,
Well,
oof.
you know what, Tasha? You know how you need to fuck the game up?
Okay.
Tell him you don't want, because I'm sure he's going to propose to women, right? Because that's what niggas do.
Yeah, right?
Tell him you want another nigga.
Hello? You never hear about that one. Goodness. I just think it's so funny because most dudes can't even satisfy one woman properly.
Right.
Now
Like,
you want to
up for failure, like
master this first before we
there you go. That should be the condition. Be like, when you got all this in check, then we'll talk about it. We'll cross that bridge.
Am I climaxing every time you touch me?
Okay. Are you putting it down? If not, then we need to talk about that. Like, don't worry about don't worry about bringing anybody else in here.
Because you're going to embarrass me in front of her. She's going to be like, this is what you've been dealing with. I'm so sorry for you. Like, no.
It's like, let me get your number and call you.
We're coming in strong. Like,
not trying to be embarrassed.
Don't making me look bad. Hilarious. Well, thanks for being on this show, Janet. And we enjoyed the stories.
It's so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So please let our listeners know where they can find you on the internet and what's coming next with Latina Money.
Well, you can find me on the website, www.latinamoney.com. On Instagram, I'm trying to stay consistently active on it, Latina_money. Always fun conversations over there about sex too, sex, money, rock and roll, power, everything in between. And what's next? A lot, yet nothing right now, because I'm on hibernation mode, like rest, recovery, enjoying my summer a little bit before we get back on work.
Ow. Yes, hot girl summer. Or is it lukewarm?
Well, it's like real prude nun summer, but
It's real tepid over here.
It's looking real like tempered summer.
Yeah, only thing hot out here is this heat wave going on. That's it. Just the weather. All right. Well, please be sure to download the app Secrets of the Opposite Sex, subscribe to the podcast, like and comment on the episode on YouTube.
And we'll see y'all right back here next week when we'll have another lady in the